order to tune your instrument, of course you're going to need to know what the notes are. When you purchased your instrument, you should have received a tuning chart. Now, if you don't have your tuning chart, contact the builder of the instrument or check out their website, and they should be able to provide that tuning chart for you. You will need a tuning wrench. This should have come with your instrument. I use what's called a T-style tuning wrench. It's what I like. There's another version called the gooseneck. Kind of looks like an L. I actually don't have one of those because I don't like it, but you might. It's total preference. You'll also need an electronic tuner. Now, I have a smartphone, and I have found an app called ClearTune that I love. It works great. I can't tell any difference between this ClearTune app and a really expensive tuner. If you have a smartphone, to be honest, I don't think you need to invest in an electronic tuner. Now, I do have one that I keep as a backup for whenever I go to gigs and concerts. If my smartphone battery dies or something goes wrong with it, I want to have a secondary device that I can tune with. There's two settings on your tuner that you're going to want to verify. The very first is equal temperament. There's all types of intonation or temperament systems out there, okay? We're not going to talk about that right now. That's a lengthy discussion. Just make sure it says equal temperament, because that's what your hammer dulcimer is designed to be tuned with. The next thing is a 440. Now, here in the United States, 440 is the standard. When I went to Japan to record on Mary and the Witch's Flower, actually 442 is the standard. So depending on what region and area in the world you're in, sometimes that calibration can change just a little bit. One common mistake that I see is people will tune from the bass to the treble. Now, I think that that's just kind of normal to want to tune the string that's closest to you, which is your bass strings. The problem with that is that the bass strings don't have as much tension on them as the treble strings. So I get my bass strings in tune, and then I work my way up to the top where there's more tension. The problem is, as I either sharpen or flatten the treble strings, the bass strings are going to go out of tune. Well, there's an easy way to prevent that problem, and that is to tune from the top, or the treble strings, to the bottom. So we get the area with the most tension in tune first, and then when we come to the bottom of the instrument, we get those in tune, then we should be good. We also want to evenly distribute the tension throughout the entire instrument. The hammer dulcimer is two-dimensional. It goes up and down, and it goes left to right. So I use a quadrant system for tuning. I will start on the first quadrant, which is the top of my instrument, to roughly the halfway point, and I will tune from here to here. Now, my instrument has an extended range bridge right here. I will include that as part of my first quadrant. After I tune there, I will come over here and tune from top to bottom on the bass bridge. My third quadrant is right here, roughly the halfway point to the very bottom of the treble bridge. And the fourth quadrant on my instrument is right here to here, and I'm going to also include my extended range bass bridge as part of that fourth quadrant. So I would tune my bass bridge first, and then my extended range bass bridge over here. Let's start tuning. The treble bridge, which is this bridge right here, has something very unique about it. And that is that you tune on both sides of the treble bridge. It is a perfect fifth. On my instrument, this first note is an F, and this right here is a B flat. Now, right now, both those strings are a little flat, so I need to sharpen it. What I do is I find the tuning pin right here that's associated with this string. You just kind of follow it and find it. And if I want to make it sharper, what I need to do is tune that tuning pin clockwise on my Dulciforte instrument. That's a clockwise turn. You want to tune the left side first, bring that up to pitch. Now, it doesn't have to be totally accurate, just close. And then check the right side. Oop, it's still flat. Bring that up to pitch. Go back, check the left side. Whoa, way sharp. So how do we fix that? Well, it's really easy. Think of this like a seesaw. Okay? If this side of the instrument is sharp, then what I need to do is add more weight over here to make everything even. So what we'll do is we'll just literally push down on the left side of the treble bridge to make it balance out. Watch this. I push it, makes it flatter. See, that side's already sharper. There we go. Now that's close enough. On this first pass, we're just trying to get the instrument up to tension. We're not trying to get it perfect. We'll do that on the next pass. Do that for the next string as well. All right. Now, go on to the next string. Now on my instrument, the next one down is this extended range A6. Thankfully, we only have to tune one side. Okay. That's close enough. Okay. That's close enough. Okay, I've made that first pass in that first quadrant. Now, let's go tune the second quadrant on that bass bridge. This one will be a lot easier because I only have to tune the left side of the bass bridge. So it's really easy. We just put our tuning wrench on. There we go. Next one. Okay. Now we've completed the first two quadrants. Let's move on to that third quadrant, which is back to the treble bridge from roughly the halfway point all the way down. Okay, we're done with that third quadrant. Let's do the fourth quadrant, which is once again on that bass bridge, roughly the halfway point down. And if you have an extended range bridge, you would include that as well in your fourth quadrant. Okay, that fourth quadrant is complete and we're done with our first pass. Now I'm going to be honest with you about something. I'm recording this video mid-January and I have not played or tuned my hammer dulcimer since Christmas. After the holiday season, I was worn out. I played a ton and I needed a vacation. So I have not tuned my instrument for about 3 weeks. And it's also not always been in the perfectly climate-controlled environment either, because I had it at a gig, took it in the car, got it here in the house, and so it's been exposed to a lot of different elements. When that happens, your instrument is going to go out of tune more. So my instrument was pretty flat for a hammer dulcimer. So I'm not going to get by with only making one pass. I'm going to have to tune my instrument twice. The first pass is to get the instrument up to tension. So it was flat, needed to get up to tension. The second pass, most of the work is done, but I need to go through and do the detail work and fine tune it. Okay, I've just completed that first quadrant on the treble bridge. Now it's time to move on to that second quadrant on the bass bridge. Now, on the second pass, if you have to do that, usually the bass bridge will be in better tune than the treble bridge. That's because it doesn't have that perfect fifth interval tuning. So there's not as much that can go wrong over here. So the bass bridge should be a lot easier on the second pass. Now we have completed 2 passes, and now let's just play the instrument and see how it sounds. If anything's out of tune, we'll just fix it. So let's just play some scales and arpeggios and see what it sounds like. I think it sounds pretty good. Congratulations! You've just tuned your hammer dulcimer. There are 2 questions that I get asked all the time. The first is, how long does it take to tune? And the second is, how often do you have to tune? Well, it takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to tune, and I really think that with some practice, it shouldn't take you that long to tune. Well, how often do I have to tune? That really depends on what I'm doing. And I have 3 categories of tuning. The first is my practice tune. This is where my instrument is good enough for me to be able to practice and make progress. And if I'm keeping my instrument in a controlled environment of temperature and humidity, as we've already talked about, I really shouldn't have to tune my instrument that often at all. I've had my instrument hold its tune for weeks or even months, especially if I have a modern hammer dulcimer, such as the Dulciforte here. It's got a lot of technologies of bracing and internal sealant inside of it that just makes it less volatile to all the different weather changes, and it holds its tune better. The second category of tuning that I have is my performance or my concert tuning. And I do tune my instrument before every single gig. The third category of tuning that I have is my studio tuning when I'm recording, and I record before every single song because I want it to be right. I've looked for ways to tune the hammer dulcimer as fast and as efficiently as possible. And the very first thing that will help the most is to keep your instrument climate controlled. Keep it in a room that is room temperature, and then also really look at that humidity level. That's extremely important, not only for tuning stability, but also the safety of your instrument. Extremely dry weather can cause your soundboard to crack. Extremely wet or humid weather can compromise the glue joints on the instrument and cause severe damage to your instrument. So the optimal humidity level is 50%. Now, 40% is probably okay. If your instrument's getting exposed to humidity that's less than 40%, you might want to think about a humidifier. And if it's consistently wet weather, a dehumidifier is a great idea. And the way you track all that is with a hygrometer. I've got links to all of those products in the description, and if you follow those links and buy from that, that'll really help support this channel, and I'd greatly appreciate that. If you are using your smartphone as your electronic tuner, one thing that is extremely frustrating is figuring out where to put it when you're tuning. It's like there's no convenient place. If you try to put it on the strings, it slides off the strings. Well, thankfully, I've discovered a little product that will solve your problem. I absolutely love it, and that is a pop socket. And it's a little grip that you put on the back of your phone. And the other thing about it that's so nice is it creates a ledge on the back of your phone that when you do put it on the strings, it won't slide off. So if you'd like to get a pop socket, you can follow the link in the description for one. And if you buy from that link, once again, you're help supporting this YouTube channel. I've chosen a vinyl record for my design. It just seems right for a musician. I'd like to give just one more quick tip here. Some people are really sensitive to the overtones of the instrument when they're tuning. What I mean by that is when I pluck a string or play a string and then stop the vibration, you hear how it's still ringing? Those are the harmonics on the instrument that are still resonating. And for some folks, that can be very annoying. Also, some electronic tuners have trouble with that. So a way that you can limit that is with a towel. Okay? You can put that on, let's say if I'm tuning the top first quadrant right here, I could put it on the bottom side of the instrument. Now, listen, when I play this string and stop it, do you hear how there's less of that harmonic? So that will help control it. And then obviously if I just need to move it up for whenever I'm tuning the bottom part of the instrument, just move it to the top of the instrument. So you might want to experiment with that. If it works for you, then great.